All right. Well, hello, and welcome everyone to our BG5 Live. It's great to be back. I want to do a big shout out to Shelly for taking over the last few weeks while I've had to pick up and teach another class. And so now that class is wrapped up and now I am back. So great to be back. And again, a huge shout out to Shelly for taking over the last couple of weeks. So today is December 6th. We've now moved into December, believe it or not. And we are now at episode 185. And today we're going to take a look at trait 5. So we're going to take a look at the rhythm of life. That's what we're going to be exploring today. So before we get started, let's say hello to our panel. Let's start with Shelly. Hello, Shelly. Welcome.
Well, hello, everybody. And so happy to have Karen back, and love to play off of her depth of knowledge. And it's been fun being the host for the last few weeks, but I'm really happy Karen's back.
Well, really happy that you were able to fill in and be the host. So thank you so much for the amazing job that you did, Shelly. Thank you so much. And let's go to Anna. Hello, Anna. Welcome.
Hello, glad to be here as always. Welcome everyone. This will be interesting. Get our rhythm back for the week or few days.
Yeah, exactly. So without any further ado, thank you, Anna, for being here. And also thank you for supporting Shelly and all of you that have supported Shelly in the last couple of weeks. So let's dive in to trait number 5 and taking a look at the rhythm of life. Now, as we dive into trait 5 and the rhythm of life, we are also diving into December as well. So if we take a look at the theme of December, the theme of December is fixed patterns to sell and market ideas on loving, trusting, and accepting yourself, bringing forth a joyous vitality to a fight for a purpose that is bigger than yourself. So as we take a look at December, December is also purpose fulfilled through transformation. So we will see that throughout the month of December. And just to get a preview of what it's going to look like, again, we're going to start today by taking a look at fixed patterns. Fixed patterns in trait 5 is also about waiting. It's the fundamental attunement to natural rhythms, to natural patterns. So we're going to explore that more today. It is also about sales and marketing in the 26th. This is the strength and the will to support the tribe. We're also going to take a look at ideas in trait 11. This is about peace, and this is ideas captured over time are stimulation for reflection. So we'll take a look at the 11. We'll also take a look at trait 10. Trait 10 is the behavior of self, loving, trusting, and accepting yourself. What's very interesting is right around the winter solstice is where we move into the 10, loving, trusting, and accepting yourself. So we'll talk more about what that looks like as we move into the winter solstice. And Christmas and celebrating Christmas, it happens when we are in trait 58, which is vitality. This is the joyous zest for life and the energy for a better life. Right. So it's very interesting to see the holidays that happen during these particular traits as well on a regular basis. So with vitality, talking about Christmas and the joy of Christmas, it fits right in with trait 58. And then we have New Year's, and the New Year's is all about the fighter in the 38. This is opposition. This is stubbornness that can overcome any odds. So we often think that the New Year starts on January 1st, but you'll notice that we have the fighter on January 1st. So sometimes there can be conflicts, there's changes. And one of the things we also have a special program that's coming up as well, where we dive into the 5 steps in entering into a new year correctly. And the time to enter into the new year and to enter it into it correctly is not necessarily on January 1st. So we will take a look and explore why you need some setup or some time to really move into the new year. And the new year is right around, I forgot exactly the date. I think it's around the 21st, 22nd in the year that's coming up in 2023. Can you believe we're almost at 2023? So we will be exploring that as we continue to move through December. So what December starts off with and what we're going to be taking a look at today are those fixed patterns and those fixed rhythms. And along with that fixed pattern and rhythm, this idea of waiting. One of the things that is inherent in all of the career designs is an element of waiting in one way or another, right? This is, in a sense, the rhythm of life. So whether it's, waiting to respond or waiting for recognition and invitation, whether it's waiting to be initiated or whether it is waiting to be moved into action, right? Every career type has an element of waiting. And it's really getting us in tune with the fixed patterns, with the fixed rhythms of nature. Because one of the things of all life forms have this particular trait of fixed patterns and rhythms. So let's take a look at trait number 5. You'll notice also that it is grounded. I always like to take a look at what it's grounded by. It's grounded by the 35, which patterns and rhythms is grounded by progress. And we'll also notice that there is going to be a definition this week as well, connecting with the 36 and what's hidden. So it's potential for things that are hidden to come out. We've seen some of that in the news recently as well. So we may find these fixed patterns and rhythms bring forth progress. And again, also bring forth some of the crisis of what's hidden as well. So just something to pay attention to. All right, so let's take a look at today's theme. And for those of you who are live in our Zoom room, we would love to hear from you, especially if you have trait 5 within your design. Would love to hear you and have you share your experiences as well. So trait 5 is about fixed patterns. It's about the rhythm of life. And it is the fundamental attunement to natural patterns, to natural rhythms. As I mentioned before, all life forms have trait 5. And so there is a natural pattern and rhythm to life. And it's also about waiting, but waiting isn't stopping. It's an active state of awareness. So it's an active state of awareness of recognizing when the timing is right. One of the things that we talk about in the foundation course and actually throughout certification and all the other programs is this element of waiting and this active state of awareness. It's really waiting for the right timing because timing is everything. And, this trait 5 of fixed patterns, sets up that rhythm and that pattern to really listen and feel for that right timing. It's also about enjoying mundane rituals, routines, fixed rhythms, and tempos. So especially if you have trait 5 within your design, I have it in my driving force, having some kind of fixed routines and rhythms can be really beneficial and quite healthy for you. If you get thrown off of your own patterns and rhythms, however, it can also be a little destabilizing as well. So especially if you have trait 5 within your design, finding your own fixed patterns and rhythms and tempos. If you have a dog, I have a puppy dog named Sandy. She's actually much more than she's 14 years old. She just turned 14. But she is really good at keeping me into my own patterns and routines. She's the one that wakes me up and I take her for a walk, at night, taking her for a walk as well. So she gets me in tune with my natural patterns and rhythms. So it can be really helpful. And again, staying true to your own inner rhythms in order to stay vital, healthy, and always in your flow. Right. So especially this week, even if you don't have trait 5, you may find that there are certain patterns, rhythms, things that you start to fall into, again, to help you stay healthy and vital and to be in your flow. And one of the things you also have to be aware of, especially if you do have trait 5, is being forced to deviate from your natural rhythms can be physically, mentally, and emotionally destabilizing for you. Right. So again, really recognizing where do you need those patterns and rhythms to really keep you healthy. And waiting binds all life forms together in the rhythm of life. Right. So again, getting all in tune with the rhythm, the pattern, the beat, right? We have kind of the heartbeat here as a pattern and rhythm, and really getting us in tune with the patterns and the rhythm of life. So with that, I would love to first start with Shelley and Anna and what your experience is with trait 5. And then I would like to reach out to our those of you who are live in our Zoom room and would love to hear from you as well. If you have trait 5, or even if you don't have trait 5, what your experience is or what you've seen or experienced with trait 5. Or what you may be noticing over the last few days, because we have been in trait 5 for a few days. So let's start with Anna.
Yeah, hi. It's so fascinating to me. I knew intellectually that we had gone into the 5. I don't have the 5, so I have routines and things, but it's inconsistent. But I noticed yesterday, I was, sort of prepping for the new year and getting things planned and that kind of stuff. And I thought, I'm going to update my morning routine. I'm going to try this new rhythm. And then I realized, oh, this is trait 5, I have a certain kind of thing. I do not look at emails first thing when I sit down at my desk, because then the day's gone if I start there. So there's certain things that are rituals, that are sort of markers, habits I've developed. But I thought I would try a different, instead of working out first thing in the morning after meditation, I don't have enough time if I have another appointment, that kind of stuff. So I thought, okay, I'm going to try this other thing, maybe do it after I put in a couple hours work. And so far, my body actually sort of likes that.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that goes, whether it holds. But the other thing I was going to say is, with all the decision-making strategies, waiting is your body's way of giving you the right timing. And like you already mentioned, it's not stopping, it's not inactive, it's just waiting for your moment. It's waiting for your signal, your gut, or you're waiting to be moved or delighted or invited, whatever it is. It's an awareness state. It's not really an active doing state, but you're aware, so that whatever signals come to you, then you can use them. So it's a waiting for the moment, the moment of your signal to do whatever the next thing is.
Yeah, beautifully said, Anna. And that might be something that you might be aware of this week too, is that you've, even if you don't have 5, you may have settled into patterns or rhythms, or set up different patterns or rhythms, or recognized patterns and rhythms as well. And again, I love what you said, Anna, also about the decision-making strategy, and again, how important it is to wait, because that's what puts us into the pattern and rhythm of life, and allowing things to unfold versus trying to force them. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Anna. How about for you, Shelley?
Yeah, like Anna, I don't have this trait either. I don't have either this or the other side of it. I noticed a few things. So I think it was last Friday, just as we were switching, probably it changed over Friday night, Saturday morning into 5/1. And it was funny. It feels like the last several weeks have been go, 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 rush, 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 rush. And all of a sudden Friday came and it was like, whew, everything's calm. The rush is gone. And that's the way I experienced this so far. I just feel calmer. I feel more in sync. I feel more more relaxed. And it's amazing to me to just see how the energy changes like that. Because it was last week we were focused on the details, right? And that's exactly what was happening that whole week, was intense focus on a million different details. And then all of a sudden, oof, okay, we're done with that. We're moving into this now. So I'm really starting to notice when the trait changes, how the energy changes within and around me. And like Anna, I always marvel at how inconsistent my routines are. I can be really good at a habit and I can actually maintain it for a couple of years, but I get into year 3 and it's kind of like, yeah, I'm bored with that. I'm going to switch this up and do something completely different. and literally it'll take me forever to get back into whatever it was I was doing, or I may never get back into what I was doing. And the funny thing is my husband has this full strength. So I often get pulled into his rhythm and patterns. And for so many years, I kind of fought against that because I was like, no, let me do my own thing. I'm just, I want to follow my own rhythm. But now that I understand how it works, I actually really enjoy being pulled into his rhythm and pattern. I've learned to relax with it and not fight it and just experience it. And, I can still break away and go do my own thing, but I'm much more accepting of it. And it's much more enjoyable to just allow him with that full strength to kind of guide where we're going. Because most of the time he does anyway. His patterns are very fixed. They're very fixed and very consistent. Literally every single morning he gets up at the exact same time every day, makes his bed, goes and watches a webinar, comes in and has breakfast, says hello. Like it's so funny to watch the pattern unfold every day, day after day. And I marvel at his ability to do that because I'm all over the map.
Wow. Yeah. Really beautiful example, Shelley's. And also, Shelley, and also, how you can be, in a sense, affected by others who have that particular strength or the trait of the 5 as well. Falling into others' rhythms and patterns. Exactly. And it's interesting that you say that, Shelley, about, as we moved into the 5, that all of a sudden things calmed down. I felt the same thing. I feel like I'm back in my pattern and rhythm because the last couple of weeks I've been out of my pattern and rhythm, right? Because I haven't been on BG5 Live and had to teach a couple of classes and so my rhythm and pattern was disrupted. And so it's interesting in moving into the 5. It's like, okay, I'm back to my pattern and rhythm again.
Yes.
Yeah, love
yes.
that.
And I think I get pulled into your rhythm and pattern as well. And it's quite lovely. I enjoy it.
That's another thing. Yes, I enjoy it too. I have a friend who has the 5 and we seem to just kind of roll. It's like, oh yeah, that's nice because we fit, we're in sync with each other. So she kind of guides the rhythm. I was like, oh yeah, I like this. I'll go along with this.
Yeah.
It's a good kind of conditioning. The other thing I was thinking, when we're talking about the rhythm of life, it's not only our rhythm, whatever our mundane rituals are, but we have seasons. We have moon cycles, where the earth inhales and exhales and the light, from the moon, gets brighter and darker. And I mean, there's all kinds of cycles, when we're talking about the cycles, there's all kinds of rhythms that play together, sunrise, sunset, and it stimulates our chemistry. It stimulates hormones. It stimulates all kinds of enzyme reactions in our body, and it is rhythm. It is this constant cycling through different events, different periods of time, different routines. And the weather, when it's winter, we have different habits. When it's summer, we have different habits. Even the dog, like you were saying, even though it might be the same timing in the morning, or close to the same timing, getting your dog out. There's still probably activities that go with something like the weather. You know, you may not, maybe, I don't know your dog, but you know, my dogs used to love the snow. And like, oh, cool, snow time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of rhythms going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Sandy loves the snow. She's definitely a snow dog.
Okay.
Yeah, beautiful. And Carrie, I would love to hear from you. Carrie has the 5 and the 35 defined and sure does love rituals, systems, and patterns. So would love to hear from you as well. And you don't have to turn on your camera. I'll just give you the microphone. So would love to hear from you.
Wow, I am overwhelmed here because you are just my place where I go to learn every Tuesday. And this is the first time I felt so connected to what just happens to be in transit here. So I'm an advisor, and loving systems and rituals and all of that kind of stuff affect my life in this way. First of all, career-wise, which of course is what BG5 is all about, I naturally, without my intention, ended up being a trainer for an engineering company called Honeywell, because I had the ability to see the structure and the systems of their equipment, even though, you know, I'm just naturally adept at mechanical things, even though I was a woman and was going to be teaching male engineers. And I had great success in that because I understood the systems of it. I understood the rhythms of it. I understood how measuring the temperature is necessary in order to have the equipment that's going to control the temperature do its thing, kind of thing. So it was just a natural fit for me, brought into my life without my intention, which of course is something else that happens to an advisor. Morning rituals. My morning rituals change. I allow them to change in the flow of my life, where I will sometimes meditate for half an hour every morning for a month. And then the natural rhythm of whatever's happening makes that be replaced by something else that also feels in rhythm. And I don't feel like I'm changing anything by stopping the meditation ritual. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and then the other thing is that she just mentioned the seasons as you're talking. I went, oh my God, that's true. I love every season. I love every weather. I love thunderstorms. I just love weather. I look outside, I'm in northern Minnesota. So right now my landscape, and I have my desk set so it looks out a sliding glass door at the lake. So my landscape right now is this beautiful snow-covered lake with snow on the pine trees and sun shining on the snow landscape. And for the last 3 or 4 nights, every night as I walk by my sliding glass door, I see the moon, the full moon that's coming, shining on the snowscape. And I just have to stop and pause and go, yes, yes, I just love everything having to do with systems and cycles and rituals.
Wow. Really beautiful example, Carrie. And I think you brought up a good point. Even if you do have the 5 and you have fixed rhythms and patterns, those fixed patterns and rhythms can change, just like what Anna said, and just what you just talked about, Carrie, is with the change of the season. Right. So we have maybe different seasons that, you know, whether it be a month, whether it be several months, whether it be a few years, that we do something on a regular basis, and then the season changes. And then we adapt a different routine. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have the same old all the time. You know, it's almost like you just go with, I love the way that you described it, Carrie, is, you know, how those change with, you know, keeping you in line with, if you will, the rhythm of life and your own rhythm, whatever that happens to be. Right. So just to know that those patterns and rhythms can change, but to also recognize the patterns and rhythms as they change. And just like you said, Carrie, the patterns and rhythm and Anna as well, the patterns and rhythms of winter are different than the patterns and rhythms of summer. And it's being able to adapt. And that's part of the waiting as well, as things unfold, as you really get in tune with those patterns and rhythms, that's where everything unfolds. And I love that your career also plays on this whole fact of really recognizing the patterns and the rhythms and then being able to teach those patterns and rhythms as well. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Carrie, for sharing. Very, very rich.
Thank you for inviting me up. Bye.
Yes, beautiful.
And to segue one more little piece here with the 35, the 35 is progress. So when you're talking about this natural change of rhythm, not just abrupt, oh, I'm going to do this X, Y, Z, but it fits to me with the 35, the grounding energy, sort of not dictating, but leading a little bit on what kind of rhythm you're moving into, that can change, that can progress.
Yep. Exactly.
Mhm.
And bringing progress to the rhythms and the patterns. Yeah, Shelley.
Yeah, just we've got a few people on Facebook with us today. Sabina is here, and was talking about a couple of things. One, that she's doing the foundations with Anik Klein right now, and recognizing how Anik is an evaluator, but she has the 5, I believe, and how she's able to pull the whole class into her rhythm quite easily. And also Sabina's husband, his conscious grounding balance is trait 5, and she's an advisor, and she's able to observe his rhythm, but it also, helps her manage her own rhythm. And she says she has to be really discerning to make sure where she draws the line with enough is enough as an advisor. So thanks for sharing that, Sabina.
Yeah. And especially again, as an advisor, or if you, if you don't have, if you don't have the 5 and you're around people with a 5, it is connected to the energy resource, so it may connect you that you really have to be aware of when enough is enough as well. Yeah,
And
exactly.
Rose Marine is also here, and
Hey.
just saying that she also recognized the pattern shift on Friday to this calmer, more rhythmic settling in. So good to have you here too, Rose Marine.
Beautiful, beautiful. And just wondering if Vicky, I would love to hear from you as well, as an advisor, if there's anything that really stands out for you also with the trait 5.
As an evaluator.
Or as an evaluator. Yeah, sorry, as an evaluator.
I actually love people with this trait, and I seem to unconsciously seek it out, because I think one of the things as an evaluator is I'm always trying to attune to the natural rhythms and patterns. So doubling down and seeking people out with this seems to be a bit of a theme when I go back through my the charts of the people around me.
Oh, I love that. And that might be something to be aware of as well, is, like who in your life has these patterns and rhythms, and taking a look at, right, do you fall into those patterns and rhythms, or again, you may resist them as well. The 15 that's on the other side of trait 5, it can also be a challenging electromagnetic. For example, I have the 5, my husband has the 15, and we have very different rhythms and patterns, and sometimes he gets really frustrated with me in my fixed patterns and rhythms, and sometimes he's all over the place, and I'm like, wait, throwing off my own fixed patterns and rhythms. So it can be really great in understanding that within relationships, because you can also see, again, where relationships can get you in the flow or sometimes can throw you off track as well. And when you can recognize those dynamics, you don't take it personally, and you can just recognize those dynamics for what they are. Yeah, beautiful. Excellent. All right, so let's now take a look at how you get affected when you're connected. So what if you don't have the 5? So we're going to take a look at the shadow of trait 5 and when you don't have trait 5, and especially if you have trait 15, but you don't have trait 5. So it could be a lack of fixed patterns, a lack of fixed rhythms. Because if we take a look at trait 15, especially if you have trait 15, is all about diversity, is about different patterns, different rhythms. And so the question is, do you find yourself lacking consistent patterns, rhythms, routines, or habits in your life? Do you feel like things are constantly changing and it's hard to create a consistent focus that you need to master an area of your life? Or do you feel out of sync with life? Sort of like these 2 clocks here where both of them are out of sync. So the problem is that you may lack the disciplined and fixed rhythms to achieve mastery in some area of your life because of your own constantly changing rhythms and patterns. Again, the 15 is about diversity. So, and also if you don't have trait 5, even if you don't have 15, sometimes you may find again, that you don't have any fixed patterns or rhythms, and that it's constantly changing based on who you're around or what what cycle you might happen to be in or what the trances may be. So you're designed to work with others who can help give you the disciplined and fixed rhythms you need to stay focused and to master a skill or other area of your life. So Shelley and Anna and Vicky, none of you have those. So, and also it looks like Lori has her hand raised as well. So Lori, well, let's start with Lori, and then we'll hear from the others.
Hi.
Hey
Thank
there.
you for muting me. I have the 15, but not the 5, and I like to say I'm consistent until I'm not. My day does have a fixed rhythm because of my work. Sessions have to be at a certain time, but I find that I experience the 15 through a variety of different people, so that helps. And what I noticed this week is that with the 5 and the fixed patterns, bigger fixed patterns, is it's the beginning of the holiday season, and I thought, man, I don't know if I want to do my Christmas cards right now. I want to do, it didn't fit with my personal rhythm, which is what sort of happens with the 15 when the 5 intervenes and it says, this is the time to put up the lights and do the cards. So I sometimes I do feel out of sync with those bigger holiday patterns. Sometimes I feel in sync, like Thanksgiving cooking, that feels fine, but I think I'd rather wait till after the winter solstice to do some of these other fixed patterns.
Yeah, beautiful. That's funny that you mentioned that, Lori, because it was interesting when I was taking a walk with my dog. One of the things that I noticed is that everyone was putting up their holiday decorations. And so again, it's sort of that fixed pattern or rhythm of this is the time to start the holidays. So it's very interesting that you mentioned that. I love that. Thank you so much, Lori. And let's go to Rebecca.
Okay. Somebody's TV or something's on in the
There we go.
background. Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, so I have the 15, but not the 5. And I used to, anyway, so my life is the one rhythm that came up when people were discussing the 5 was circadian rhythm. And I feel very much like that. I have a lot of problems sleeping. And I used to think, oh, well, it's very easy to get caught in a story. But and I'm also a very light sleeper, but it turns out that I think it's just innate to who I am. Is that, my rhythm is I can go to bed at 10 o'clock one night. Well, not often, midnight often, sometimes 3 or 4 in the morning. So living with me is not very much fun. And so I've just kind of, but there's a lot that can be mitigated with that. It's kind of like, for me, a big part is recognizing that I need a lot of time and space to myself. And when I'm around people with a 5, yeah, there is kind of a calmness that happens because it's like, oh, well, somebody's in, it's like something's in charge. That's not, it's not kind of being left to the whims of whatever happens to be. It's I won't quite say squirrel energy, but it's like, you know, it's easy to just kind of go with the flow. It actually is easy to go with the flow, and that's one thing that I'm, you know, just doing is is going with the flow.
Yeah. 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 And great recognition. Again, this is one of those things that, you know, if you have the 15 and not the 5 and your patterns are all over the place and you're wondering like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I sleep on a regular time frame, or why can't I do this on a regular time frame? And recognizing that it's simply a part of your design, and sometimes again, aligning with those that have the 5 can sometimes again have that calming energy that gets you in the flow. And again, just also recognizing and honoring your own unfixed patterns and rhythms, meaning again, you may sleep really long, you know, one night and go to bed really early, and the next night you're up really late, and just recognize, and there's nothing wrong. That's just the way that your design is, to have those diverse patterns. Yeah, thank you so much, Rebecca. And let's go to Anna.
Well, again, I don't have the 15 or the 5, but in this, reading this about the problem that it's hard to achieve mastery, without some kind of a discipline or a fixed routine. I remember a story, a dear friend of mine has a son who's a photographer, a nature photographer. And he was telling me this story about wanting to get a certain shot. And I can't remember what it was. It was something like a sunrise or something, and he would go, lay down on his belly, get all in position and just wait for that exact shot that he wanted, because he didn't just click, click, click. He wanted this one particular shot, and he had to practice it. He had to go through that routine until he mastered it, and he did. It was an amazing photo. But I was just thinking about that in terms of mastery. People with we tend to think people that have discipline and fixed routines are better at mastering something. But sometimes the lack of a fixed routine presents you with some other skill. It may not be clock time, but it's rhythm. It is a rhythm, and when you master that rhythm, not in controlling it, but master riding that rhythm, that you become adept. You understand the skill.
Yeah, beautifully said, Anna. Yep, exactly. And Vicky, I don't know if there's anything that you would like to add.
No, I just think this is a continuation of what I mentioned before. So go and sample it, try it out for a while, whether it's transits or people, and you can really feel like it's you and really enjoy having this just discipline and the structure and the regular routine, and then it is actually part of the rhythm, but it's time for that to move on. So I just think it's beautiful being able to sample this.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Vicky. And Shelley.
Yeah, it's just really reminding me of all the different times in life when, having this completely open, the whole strength, also brings that wisdom or flexibility. That inconsistency is not necessarily a bad thing. It can just mean much more flexibility. I know one of the challenges that my husband has with the full strength is that it's really hard for him to shift off his rhythm and pattern. I spent the first part, probably the first 5 to 10 years of our relationship, trying to help him relax when people didn't show up when he expected them to show up, because he was on his schedule and he had organized his whole day, and he got there exactly on time, and they were 20 minutes late or didn't show up, and how upset that would make him. So I was able to help him become a little bit more flexible around that and realize that it's not personal, that everybody has their own rhythm and pattern. And that was foreign to him at first. And the number of times he bought me time management books and and helped me try to get on a track to kind of follow things along the way that he does them. And literally that makes him feel great, but it actually makes me feel sick. If I have to do the same thing every day, the same way all the time, I can't do it. I literally can't do it. It physically makes me feel ill. So I think it's really important it's great to be able to, like Vicky said, sample it for a week or for a period of time, but to get locked into a fixed rhythm and pattern when that's not your design, it can be challenging. So that's kind of another thing to be aware of as well. And it's just being aware of all these dynamics and feeling what is right for yourself and following your own deep inner rhythm, because we all have that anyhow. It's not that we don't have this in our design, it's just not there consistently. So it's not as reliable for those of us who are open here. And we can sample it, try it on at different times and utilize it when we need help with something, where we have to get something done, where we need to be on a structure and a path. And we might need someone to coach us who's got this, who can keep us on track, who can get us focused and, help us follow what we need to do to do that. Exercising comes to mind. That's something I've been challenged with my whole life. I've exercised lots. I've tried all different kinds of ways of exercising. I've done many of them for long periods of time. And like I said, and I get bored and change and do something else. But to actually have get into the rhythm and pattern of doing it every day at the same time, just to get into the rhythm. I can only do it for so long. And then it's not going to work anymore. I don't feel like doing that right now. I'm going to go do something else. I'll exercise later or maybe in a few days.
Yep.
So,
Yep,
yeah.
exactly. And being able to recognize that there's nothing wrong with you, because a lot
Yeah.
of times people will say, God, what's wrong with me that I can't keep
Can't
this
go to the gym
consistent
every
rhythm
day.
and this
Yeah.
consistent pattern, and then you try to force it, and then it makes you, like you said, kind of sick. You try to force yourself to be in a calendar and to do this and to do that, and
Yeah.
it ends up not feeling good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just recognizing that you don't have this, right? So it's not consistent. And that,
Mhm.
like Vicky said, that you can sample it, but it doesn't mean that you have to do it forever. And if it doesn't feel good, you shift that pattern and rhythm.
Mhm.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Shelley. Yeah, amazing, amazing discussion. Thank you so much, everyone. And what I would love to hear from everyone here in just a moment is, as we continue in Trait 5, what are some things for people to be aware of? Or things that you would suggest in, whether you have Trait 5 or whether you don't have Trait 5, what are some things just to pay attention to in this upcoming week? So once again, if you are new to BG5, again, we invite you to check out our website, and you can get a free report. You can take a look at your own career design and take a look at, do you have Trait 5 or not? You can also watch past episodes of BG5 Live on YouTube, or also in our free resource library. And check out our courses and programs. Again, we have the foundation course coming up in January, also the certification course. We also have a couple of special programs that are going to be coming up in January as well. So we'd love to have you join us. So to wrap everything up, I would love to have an opportunity to hear from all of our panelists and those that have spoken up, and what are some things that people should be aware of, or anything that stands out or that you want to highlight around Trait 5 to wrap everything up. So let's start with Carrie. I don't know, Carrie, if there's anything else that you would like to share, or what people should pay attention to this week.
Okay.
There you go.
I guess it would just be to really allow your natural rhythms and trust in the fact that your design designed your rhythms to work for you. So when it comes to waiting for that rhythm to flow, just allow that to happen. Don't try to push anything, just allow your natural rhythms, and you'd be surprised how you are so perfectly designed by the universe.
So beautifully said, Carrie. Thank you so much for joining the discussion today. It's been really great to hear from you.
Oh, thank you too. Bye-bye.
Yes, beautiful. And let's go to Lori. Anything, Lori, that you would like to add?
Sure. Since in the world we're in a time of transition and change, this is an opportune time to evaluate which of our rhythms are serving us and which aren't, and to choose carefully and
Mm.
consciously.
Yes, beautifully said. Thank you so much, Lori.
Thank you.
And Rebecca.
Mine would be to honor your rhythms.
Yep, beautifully said. And Vicky.
Oh, following on from what Laurie said, I'm thinking it would be really cool to pick 5 rhythms or patterns that you noticed this week and to write them down. And then, as Laurie said, choose with awareness. Like, it all starts with even just recognizing them. So I'm going to journal 5 and check them out and explore them.
I love that, right? And seeing what are the rhythms and patterns that serve you, and what are the rhythms and patterns that no longer serve you. This is the perfect time of year to be able to start to look back and complete the past year, and also to start to look forward to how do we want to step into the new year, and taking a look and recognizing those rhythms and patterns that serve us and those that don't is a great way to do that. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Vicky. How about for you, Anna?
I'm thinking about our natural propensity for evolution, a kind of longer range, not just the mundane daily things, but the longer rhythms. We can't help but evolve, whether we're intending to or not. So our rhythms evolve. And being that it's kind of getting towards the end of the year, the beginning of a new year, that's a cycle. People often start setting goals, and that can become sort of a rigid thing sometimes. I'm going to do X, Y, Z. And so there might be all kinds of stories that go with, well, I failed working out, for this month, maybe I'll blow it off, or whatever. There's different thought monkey mind systems that get into setting a goal. So I would say kind of allow your rhythm to evolve, and instead of setting like a goal, set a target, set an objective, set a result. And then your rhythm, if you're following the rhythm, and if it's in sync with your decision-making strategy, your life work and purpose, you're gonna adjust that rhythm. That rhythm's gonna tell you how to get through the year and accomplish whatever it is, whatever your target is.
Yeah, beautifully said, Anna. I really like that. Beautiful. And Shelley.
Wow, so much has been said already. I'm not even sure what else to say other than enjoying this time that this trait is here to help become aware of the rhythms and patterns that you're currently in, as has been mentioned. And also, I like the idea of consciously looking at which rhythms and patterns are working. I might take that on. And yeah, I like what you said too, Anna, the longer term. And, this all leads into the upcoming newsletter that will come out this week, is looking at moving into the new year, the 5 stages that Karen talked about. So there's some really great advice and information coming up for that as well. And ultimately, it all comes back to just following your own decision-making strategy to see what rhythm is correct for you in this moment. what pattern can you be following or be aware of in tune with your decision making. So that's what it comes down to for me. That's what it feels like in my body, is just I'm following my emotional authority for everything. And that leads me to the correct rhythms and patterns for me.
Yes, beautifully said, Shelley. Wow, this has been an amazing, amazing discussion. And it's so great to hear the different perspectives. And again, those that have the trait, those that don't have the trait, and really how those that have the strength, right? How those patterns and rhythms show up for you. So again, pay attention to the patterns and rhythms. Again, recognize what patterns and rhythms serve you, which don't, being able to let them go. Also seeing the patterns and rhythms as we move through and wrap up this year and move into the next. So it has been our absolute pleasure. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. And we look forward to seeing you all next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.